Have you ever had a dream that you I
really hope that that's exactly how that's actually is.
I hope so too.
Hold on, let me drink some of my Diet Cola.
I have to blur that out if you didn't do it that way. So I'm glad that you did it that way. Yeah, I got a lot of leg showing. I'll probably punch it on me.
Way too much leg.
Wait, it is way too much leg,
All right.
but that's okay.
This podcast is brought to you in part by Dragon Shield. Use code PLAYTOWIN5 with the affiliate link down below for 5% off to help support the show.
Welcome to the Play to Win podcast, where we're talking about winning in cEDH. I'm Cam.
You threw me for a loop. And I'm Dylan. This week we are talking about the best commanders in cEDH Part 2. We did a Part 1. It was last week. We talked about 6 commanders. We're doing a Part 2 this week. We're talking about the other 6 commanders.
Yeah, we got 6 more of the most popular commanders that you will see at cEDH tournaments. And we're going to rank them, including the list that we did from last week too. So we're going to combine today's list and last week's list.
Yep.
So if you missed that episode, go make sure you check that one out too.
Now that you're back, since you paused the podcast and you've come back, you watched the
Obviously,
first
yeah.
one, now you're at Part 2.
And even if you watched the first one, you had to go back to make sure you didn't forget anything.
Yep, of course.
Yeah.
Should we just a recap of what those 6
They
lists
just
were?
rewatched the last podcast, so I don't think we have to.
Okay, all right, fair. But, okay, yeah, sure. So what's the first one that we're talking about then, I guess?
All right, so we're going to start off with a Dylan deck today.
Okay.
And that's going to be Thrasios Yoshimaru.
I don't know if I would call this a Dylan deck, but it is a deck that I'm currently playing. I understand what you meant.
That's the only reason why I called it a Dylan deck.
Okay, yeah, I guess what other definition would there be?
Yeah, not much. But I'll tell you what, something has changed since we were here last.
What has changed?
This deck actually has a win. This deck has a tournament win, actually.
Holy shit, look at that. That deck is incredible.
which is pretty sweet.
Yoshimaru Thrasios. This deck is basically a Guy's Cradle deck. It's looking to win with Guy's Cradle loops. You're looking to normally have Talon Gates and a Boro Breeze Caller with a whole bunch of creatures, 5 or 6, so that you can make infinite mana, phase out all of your opponent's creatures, draw your deck with Thrasios, and win that way. It's a mana deck. It's a big mana deck.
Because you're able to make infinite mana because the land that you untap with Boro Breeze Caller's ability is Gaia's Cradle, which is why it generates you so much.
Normally, the strategy was originally kind of Rograk Thrasios. There's a white edition that has given stuff.
The biggest ones are all of the silence effects, obviously. So you get like Grand Abolisher, you get Voice of Victory, you get Silence herself, you get Ranger Captain of Eos, which is amazing. All the 4 great effects like that.
I like Ranger Captain in this deck because it gets a second creature.
You get access to Derevi and Emil. I should say.
And Emil.
This is something that I know you do in Sisei and is a big pull to these Gaia's Cradle decks that are also in white, which is something that the Rograk versions of this deck can't do, because this is basically the same thing. It's just a little bit more protected because you have these silence creatures. And the other creature I want to talk about, there's 2 other creatures I want to point out real quick. Weathered Wayfarer.
Ooh, this can go find any land, right?
Have you put this one in your list?
No, I thought about it, but I didn't.
Yeah, this one's pretty interesting. You get to search your library for a basic, reveal it, and you put it into your hand. Maybe that's why you didn't think of it, is because a lot of the other effects that you play that get Gaia's Cradle in this list just put it directly into play.
And this only gets a basic.
This gets a land. You search
any
your
land.
library for any land.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You said basic there, so I thought I was wrong.
Oh, I said basic there?
I think you. No, it's fine because so it gets any land, but it puts it into your
I meant
hand.
to say search your library for basically any land.
Sorry, I misheard you. I think that is what you said, actually.
Oh, okay, yeah. Other than that, the other card that stands out to me is Wandering Archaic, which is pretty interesting because even as I shifted Etali into be a little bit more turbo, this is a card that I still left in the deck because it is still really impactful on games. And if you're trying to go into the long game, which like this deck can win on turn 3, but I don't know how reliable it is at winning on turn 3. So I think that having something like Wandering Archaic is a little bit more better for them.
That makes sense. Yeah, Wandering Cake is it often ends up like a superistic study. I feel like often it is so that your opponents just don't even cast the spells that trigger it. It's super powerful. I'm not playing it in my version, but I definitely don't think it's wrong to play it. It's such a powerful card, and it being 5 generic mana is really helpful when you're making a lot of just green mana. It's helpful to have something that you can just cast off of that extra Mana Vault mana, Gaia's Cradle mana, anything like that.
And are you on the Devoted Druid line?
I am on Devoted Druid with Swift Reconfiguration and God Pharaoh's Muse.
No, that's the
What
other
is it?
one.
What's
Machine God's
Machine
Effigy,
God's
yeah.
Effigy. That's the card.
This list in particular does not have Machine God's Effigy,
None. Oh.
but it does have the Swift reconfiguration.
The Machine Gods is nice because it's a clone when you need it to like be another Spellseeker or another Cloud of Fairies or something like that.
And there's a lot of creatures in this deck with like enter the battlefield triggers, and it could be that like having Displacer Kitten to trigger it and like be able to have it come in as something else too.
See,
I think is kind of nice.
I'm not playing Displacer Kitten there on Kitten.
See, I feel like if you're on Cloud of Fairies, don't you want Kitten? We were just talking about this last week.
You would think so.
Too.
So I'm playing Emil. I'm playing. There's another 4-drop. The one that's the Eldrazi that searches for any lands.
Sowing Myco Spawn. This deck is on that too.
And I'm playing Phyrexian Metamorph, which is really more of a 3-drop, and Seedborn Muse. So I didn't want an extra, like a third sorcery speed 4-mana creature. And I thought the one that can find Gaia's Cradle and the one, like, I thought Emil is better than Kitten. Is that wrong, you think?
Well, I mean, this deck plays both.
This deck
plays
won,
both.
so
yeah.
maybe I should try it.
I'm also noticing this deck is not on Seedborn Muse. Like,
No
they decided
Seedborn.
to cut Seedborn Muse for
Interesting.
this in particular.
Okay, I would be down for that. Cutting Seed, that feels kind of crazy, but I would be down.
I feel like that does sound crazy. Like, you're playing big mana Thrasios. Why would you want to cut your Seedborn Muse of all things?
I want to win right now. I don't want to win on my opponent's
I'm not
upkeep. I wanna win
trying
right
to
now.
pass the turn, but
Yeah.
they're playing High Fate Trickster, Valley Floodcaller, and Born Upon the
So
Wind.
I'm not playing High Fate Trickster either. That's a lot of 4-drops. How many 4-drops did you just read off to me that they have?
I'm including Phyrexian Metamorph, which should be a 3-drop.
It's a 3-drop. We won't count it. Yeah,
All
we
right,
won't count it.
then we have 4 4-drops and 1 5-drop in this
Right,
list.
what's the and then 5-drops? Wandering
the
Archaic.
Wandering
So Wandering
Archaic.
kind of over Seedborn Muse.
Yeah.
Sort of interesting.
To be a little bit more interactive when you pass, which I gotta tell you scares me a little bit more, because that means I'm tapping out with Wandering Archaic,
Yeah.
and I have to only rely on my words instead of my cards. But maybe Seedborn Muse is too much of a
Kill me right now, must.
well, don't say the words "kill me right now" because
yeah,
this
I
video is
can't
going to get demonetized.
Seedborn Muse is a lightning rod, though. It
Yeah.
attracts all removal immediately. Wandering Archaic is a little bit difficult to remove because
Because you can
have to
use
pay
it to
2.
your every time I've used it, it's to my opponent's advantage, quote unquote. We're like,
yeah.
hey, if you do cast your red elemental blast right here, we can use it on 2 different things. And Etali in particular doesn't play blue things, so cards like that, they really incentivize you to want to talk to your opponents to use their interaction to help you out and to give them a 2-for-1 opportunity where it might not come up.
I like it as a plan B that doesn't revolve around Thrasios, which is kind of nice because a lot of times the Seedborn Muse strategy can be blown up if Thrasios isn't there.
That's true. It's only good with Thrasios and the One Ring, and if you don't have either of those 2 things, like, what is your Gaia's Cradle mana going to do?
It's like a little bit more win-more. Like, if you can
Yeah.
untap your stuff every turn, you win, but there's other things that can help you win right now.
Yeah, I had something else I wanted to note about this too.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'll just try to fill the air with other stuff while you're thinking of it.
No, we're just gonna move past it.
We're
if I
gonna
don't
move
think
right
of it.
past it.
Yeah,
I think this deck is
instead.
really awesome. I think, truthfully, I've been playing this deck for a little bit. I think that Rock Thras seems a little bit better. It does the thing a little bit faster, a little bit more consistently, but the silence effects are huge. The Revi is incredible in this strategy, and so is Emil. So I'm definitely going to keep on tinkering on it because I think the Gaia's Cradle core is
Yeah.
pretty strong, and I think the Bant aspect of it offers a lot.
It is weird how much different this still is from Rogthras, though,
Yeah.
because like there's no Chatterfang, like there's no.
I'm playing Chatterfang.
You're on
wait,
the.
no Chatter. Wait, you mean the Storm?
I'm at the Chatterstorm.
I'm playing Chatterstorm in mine. This
You're
one
playing.
isn't.
This one's not playing Chatterstorm. That's a sorcery, right?
It's a sorcery, yeah.
It's not in the instant category either, so I'm not
Great.
seeing it here.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I guess there's still a couple of different directions that you can go in, depending on really
Yeah.
what you want to do with this deck. It can be very flexible.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I
Yeah.
think this is the one that I'm probably going to try to mold my list a little bit more like this one since this won a tournament. But there are certain cards
Yeah.
like Chatterstorm that
Well,
I think that card's really good. I don't know.
I want to keep this in mind
Yeah.
too, that its final record for the tournament, it was a 64-player tournament.
Okay.
So it's not a huge event,
Sure,
but it
yeah.
still won something. But it does seem like 2 wins is the cap for a lot of these decks.
Okay, got it.
I will tell you that. But that's Thrasios Yoshimaru. Now we need to rate this on our list of commanders here too.
But
So
I don't know what the other 6 is. Oh,
well, we know that it's worse than Rogthras, which was the highest rated commander that we had last time.
Yeah, okay.
So this will give us the opportunity to go in an order and figure out where this is going to go.
okay, sure.
I think that this deck is also worse than Sisay too.
I think that this deck is worse than Sisya. Yeah.
Because it's weaker of enough of a thing that Rogthras is doing, and what Sisay does is way more uninteractable too.
Yeah, I think they both fold to similar things. They're both very onboard
Yeah.
creature type decks, but Sisei is a little bit more inevitable, whereas this is kind of wheel spinning. Depends on your play style. I like the inevitability.
What about versus Rograk Silas? Do you think that Yoshimaru Thrasios is better than Rogsai?
I do not. I think that Yoshimaru Thrasios is worse than Rogsai.
I agree. I fully agree with
Yeah.
that. So now we're at Rog Thras versus Vivi.
So it's so new. This is hard. Now it
This
gets
is
all
so
super
new,
gray
yeah.
and murky. I want to say Vivi feels. I've seen Vivi do more broken stuff than I've seen Yoshimaru Thrasios do in my personal experience.
As have I. I think that the ceiling on Vivi is
Way
potentially
higher.
larger because it's almost infinite in Vivi, whereas it does feel like there is a cap to
Yeah.
what you can do in Yoshimaru Thrasios. I haven't played it as much as you, but the games that I've played it, I feel like I can snowball into something and then not get anywhere, which I also feel like Vivi has the same thing. So I feel like they're
Close.
pretty even.
We're
They're
getting
pretty close.
Yeah, we're getting close.
but
I think Vivi's better right now. I like Vivi more.
my bias wants me to put Vivi above it, and it also gives us the chance to learn more about the other lists that are still on this list that we can compare these decks
Perfect,
to.
yep.
So what do you feel about Yoshimaru Thrasios versus Kefka?
I don't know that I truthfully have played it enough against Kefka to have a really firm opinion on this. I want to say Yoshimaru Thrasios gets on board quicker, so I like it a little bit more. But Kefka is so new and what it does is so powerful, it's hard to judge them against each other. I think Thrasios is tried and true, so I'm taking Yoshimaru Thrasios before Kefka.
Autocorrected to Toshiba Thras. So I think I totally agree with you too,
Yeah.
because even though Vivi is not necessarily as tried and true, I don't think that the ceiling that Kefka has is as high, and I think that the speed that Kefka operates at is not as optimal as Vivi too. Vivi can go turbo, Vivi can play the control game, and Kefka I feel like can only do mid-range stuff.
Yeah.
Although as I was editing last week's episode, like I got really excited about Kefka. I bought a Kefka, it's coming in the mail. Like
Yeah.
I kind of want to put it together because of like what you can do with clones. Like I want to be able to make 2 or 3 Kefka triggers per turn and like get
Yeah.
a ton of value. But I don't know how good the deck is when you don't have Kefka in play, and I'm
Yeah.
worried that some lists play too many things that lean towards Kefka, and I don't want to play Kefka in this color combination if like I'm going to be playing good cards. Like I think there's way more better things to do to play a good stuff deck in Grixis.
Okay, so I have a thought that's a little bit different.
Yeah,
may
hit
I?
me, yeah.
Okay, I think Kefka, and I'm not sure about this. I haven't seen Kefka play enough, but I think Kefka has a chance to play kind of like a Jund mid-range deck in that you're not really making your cards good with the commander. You're just playing good 1-for-1 cards, and forcing your opponents to discard stuff over and over again means that you're just going to end up with more cards. Is there a world that like Kefka is like your Liliana of the Veil to your Jund deck that's full of just solid threats, solid removal, solid interaction? Everything is just good, and Kefka makes it so that your opponents have less resources than you. That to me feels like a direction that I would want to push this Kefka. Have like a few cards, have maybe Dauthi Voidwalker because it's already pseudo getting you advantage, stopping your opponents from winning the game. Having maybe like a Harmonic Prodigy because it's really cheap,
Yeah.
but like not dipping too much into that and just keeping like the core Grixis good
Yeah,
stuff.
like I wouldn't want to play Waste Not, I don't think. I wouldn't want to play the Tiny Bones that we talked about last week. Like I
Tiny
think,
Bones definitely not. Waste Not is a weird one that I think that one is bizarrely close, but
But
probably not. If we're leaning,
Kefka's the only thing that is discarding cards in my deck, I don't think I want to play too many things that only operate off when my opponents discard. Like at least I like Dauthi because Dauthi, like when people cast spells that go to their graveyard, I will still get them. I will get Silence later if I can counter it.
Right.
Harmonic Prodigy. If I cast a Spellseeker like after Harmonic Prodigy, it can get me a
can do
second
other
trigger,
stuff,
right? Like
yeah.
it does some other things, but like I worry that Waste Not only like stuff that
Yeah.
only works with my commander. Like I like that clones can still copy good things. Like I like that they're just the most versatile creatures, and I like that they can also copy Kefka for more triggers if I want that too.
and if you go into Waste Not, I feel like you also start going into like wheel stuff. And if you're doing wheel stuff, but like a little bit slower, I don't think that's really great.
I don't want to refill my opponent's hand.
You know what I mean? Like, and then you like if you have to have the Notion Thief or the Orcish Bowmaster or the Narset or something like that beforehand, which like 5 years ago I would have said is like that's a solid strategy, but right now that's like kind of just maybe too many pieces. Where I feel like if like instead of like Wheel plus Narset, your thing is like that's his Oracle plus Demonic Constellation. Like,
yeah, that's really what I'm going
that's your
for.
backup plan. Like you're still in Grixis, tons of tutors, find Thoracle quickly.
I'm just trying to get like interaction out of people's hands
Right.
so that when it comes to my turn, I can just go for it.
Right, yeah. At least to me, that's how I would want to build the Kefka deck. But it feels so tempting to try to like build much more around Kefka.
I know. I'm nervous about bounce effects. I'm worried
Yeah.
that I'm just gonna put clones on the the stack and Kefka's going to get bounced. I mean, but I'm an Etali player.
That's fine. And if they do that, they bounce your Kefka in response to your clone, then you clone something else and you have Kefka in your hand. You cast it again.
5-mana Kefka.
Right,
yeah.
Like that's
I love when
totally
people
fine.
do that to me in Etali. Like,
Boom,
please bounce my Etali. I want it to be cheaper.
Right,
Wow,
yeah.
that's funny. Okay.
Wrap it up. I think it's still too early to tell fully about Kefka, but I like Yoshimaru Thrasios more than Kefka. Is that what we're talking about?
Yoshimaru Thrasios is a better deck than Kefka right now.
For
but
now.
Maybe I will build Kefka still. It's coming in the mail, so I might as well.
Prove me wrong. Yeah, we've got to figure it out.
That sounds good. All right, now we're going to talk about a cam deck. We actually have a couple of cam decks on this episode today. It's called Magda.
Yeah.
Brazen Outlaw.
Magda has changed a lot since it first debuted, I feel like, the Magda deck.
Honestly, I feel like it has too. And it's still doing well. I mean, it's still like a tried and true deck. And there's so many different things that I feel like you can do with Magda, but we have gotten some new tools. They are playing that Go-Go, the red Go-Go that we talked about last week.
Remind me, what does this do? Makes an extra, as a copy, makes copies of stuff on combat?
It becomes a copy of another target creature you control until end of turn, except its name is Go-Go.
It becomes a copy of.
And it gets bigger and gets haste.
No ETB.
No ETB. No.
What do Magda players like this?
It can be another dwarf. It can be another roaming throne. What does this do in this deck? Do you want it to copy Magda ever? Probably not.
It becomes a copy of any creature
that you control.
What's the thing that anytime you make a treasure, you make a clue and a food and a something else?
No, because this is a go to combat trigger. So I don't think you want that. But this list is also notably not on Academy Rector. I don't think the name of that card, it's Academy Manufacturer.
That's what the name of that card is.
That is what the name of the card is.
All right, I figured it out. So Go-Go retains the name Go-Go when you copy Magda, essentially making this another roaming throne for Magda, which seems really good, especially since Go-Go is Magda until the end of turn, so you can still safely crew vehicles and not have to risk your dwarves in combat.
What other new cards has Magda seen in any list recently? You got any other ones?
There's a weird mount in this deck.
A mount
called Mobile Homestead.
Okay.
It has haste as long as you control a mount. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a vehicle. I read the word mount on it, and I thought that it was a mount. So this is a vehicle. This makes way more sense. And when it attacks, you look at the top card of your library, and if it's a land, you can put it onto the battlefield tap. But it's just another like crew 2 thing.
Crew for 2. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we've gotten just like a couple of better vehicles that you can crew. There's another one from that's Lifecraft Engine. We already knew about Lifecraft Engine.
We knew about that one. That one changed the game a lot, I feel like. Yeah.
But there's still no better, bigger payoffs than Portal to Phyrexia or God Pharaoh stature for you to find unless you're trying to win the game. And it looks like they're way down on stacks pieces. Like it looks like really the only stacks pieces that they play are things that will make it harder for people to interact with them.
Okay.
Stuff like Dampening Sphere is something that they're still doing, so that way, like, if you have multiple things you're trying to do, just makes it harder and harder. And Disruptor Flute, it's just like really the only other interaction that they have, but they're kind of off of a lot of the other stacks pieces, it looks like.
I think I like that direction best. Just do your thing. Magda's thing is pretty efficient. It's pretty good. It's clean. If people forget about you for a second, you can pounce, and you're easy to forget about because you're playing Magda.
It looks like the list is using the Twin Shot Sniper list.
Oh, okay.
I
like that.
To win mostly,
I don't think that's the worst removal ever, because for 2 mana, you can deal 2 damage to something, which gets rid of an opposition agent, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, I think that's an awesome card to have in your deck. It's hard to interact with, and for it to be part of your win con is sweet.
There's a lot less dead cards that you need to play now, too, because we got the Bark Form Harvester.
Bark.
This is a artifact dwarf that lets you also for 2 mana put a card from your graveyard into the bottom of your library.
So notably, you can go search for it again.
Exactly, yeah. So like you can draw your deck with the One Ring and untapping it with the Clock of Omens, as you're already going through the loop and you have these infinite treasures that are coming into play untapped. So there's just so much you can do now in Magda that like there's no more dead cards. There's no more cards that like you only need to play because of combo pieces. Like they work for a lot of other reasons that can just like kind of help fold into the deck way more nicely.
Yeah, I feel like Magda is a commander that's very similar to Sisei for some obvious reasons, in that it's a 5 thing to go search your library right in the command zone. That's going to make a commander like this kind of good forever, I think. As long as artifacts are good, as long as they continue to print dragons that are good. That one very much less so, obviously. But every once in a while, you'll get one that'll go, oh, wait, Magda can use this or something. I think the searchability, that effect is so powerful in the command zone for cEDH that I think we're always going to see Magda in no lower than B tier. I think it's always going to be a fine deck, in my opinion. It has everything that cEDH wants.
Yeah, I exactly agree. A combo piece in the command zone that makes you mana and is a tutor in the command zone as well. It is just everything. I think it's probably one of the stronger decks that are on the list right now.
I say everything, obviously, interaction. is one thing that it doesn't really have.
There's so much damage on this that it can deal, though.
Okay,
like,
all right.
It plays as much ways to deal damage, and there's a new artifact that it has, too, that enters and deals 2 damage to something that you can, like, also, like, turn into golems then, too.
Yes, okay, it has certain ways to interact.
But there's also
on the stack interaction, I guess, is what I'm specifically talking about. You have only a few options.
That's true. You have deflecting SWAT. Technically, you can play the sacrifice a red creature to copy something.
Flare of Duplication.
And then they also play the one from
Pyroblast, Red Blast?
Yeah, those. And then the one from Thunder Junction that has Spree that lets you like redirect an activated or triggered ability and also copy it if you pay the other Spree.
That one seems expensive. I don't love that card.
A lot of the times when I see it, it's people going, I'm going to do it right now. And then they reread the card and go, oops, it doesn't do that. Let me put it back in my hand.
That is such a common thing with that card. Oops, this doesn't do anything. It does.
No,
Shit.
okay. Well, now everyone knows that I have it. Yeah, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. That's true. So it doesn't have the on the stack interaction, but what it does have is just like instant speed. Rather than countering your Thrasios Oracle, Magda can win in response to
I'm gonna
Thrasios
push
Oracle,
on top of it,
right?
yeah.
So like that's good and that's fine, and it covers its weakness a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be better than Glarb, Kefka, Yoshimaru,
We didn't
Thras.
talk about Glarb.
Well, but it's there.
It didn't get there until now. Surprise!
No,
there's
I
Glarb.
mean, it won't be in the top 10.
The viewer knew because they watched last time. Okay.
Yeah, they already knew how we disregarded Glarb.
Better than Glarb, better than Kefka, better than Yoshimaru Thrasios.
Better than Vivi, I think.
Better than Vivi, yep.
And then I'm also now at the point where we're like, it's Rogsai versus Magda. I feel like traditionally I want to say it's Rogsai that's
I
inherently
think
more
so.
powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously biased. I play Rogsai, but yeah, I think Rogsai is a little bit more powerful.
Certain days I feel like Magda is better. When it's in the same pot as Rogsai, I feel like Magda wins those games.
Okay.
People hate on Rogsai, and then Magda just goes, no interaction for me.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do feel like if Rogsai or a faster deck is not in the pod, Magda is going to take a lot of that heat. So I think that's just kind of like the natural curve of where they should rank then too.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so we're taking Rogsai over Magda? Is that what we
Yeah,
decided?
we're going to take Rogsai over Magda, I
Yeah,
think.
I agree. What's the next best commander in CEDH? Or the one that we're going to talk about?
We should talk about a Tyler deck now that we've
Okay.
talked about a deck that you play, a deck that I've played. Let's talk about one that Tyler plays, and that's Kinnan.
Kinnan's gonna go very to the top, I feel. Kinnan is a deck that a lot of people play, but doesn't win quite as much as some of the other decks that see as much play as it does.
You
Is
say
true?
that, and it just won a
okay.
10K.
Yeah,
it looks like.
it still does win. Yeah, compared to a lot of the other decks, maybe that's not the case. But I guess I feel it sees a similar amount of play as Tymna Krom, but I see Tymna Krom winning a decent amount more.
It sees more play than it wins, and I think it's because it's a deck that people just pick up because they think it's going to be easy to pilot, and they know that it's a good deck.
Yeah.
But then there's interaction that happens. They don't know how to play around everything, and if you're not like super seasoned with the deck, there's going to be a lot of scenarios that you think you can't get out of, but you can. You just have to do like really intricate lines that might involve tutoring at the right time, activating Kinnan at weird times, playing instant speed stuff at the right time. Like it can be very, very big brain to have to figure out some of these lines.
There's a lot of nuance to it. It seems like it's like a big mana, like dumb green deck or something, but it really doesn't play like that. At least a lot of the times it's looking to stay alive as long as possible. And there's obviously different versions. There's a version that's looking much more into just resolving early Rhystic Study and then just making 1,000 mana, doing stuff like Mirror Maid and do all the steel enchantments and stuff like that. There are versions that are using more big creatures than are on Void Winnower. I see Void Winnower get cut a lot recently. The direction is just lower card advantage and stuff like that, but it's a flexible deck and it just makes mana good simply because of that fact. It's another one like Magda that I feel like it's always going to be good.
Yeah, I feel like it's in a spot now where your backup plan is activating Kinnan, and there's been a lot of builds with Kinnan over the years where your main plan is I just want to make as much mana as possible and then put 2 Kinnan activations on the stack in one turn.
Right, yeah. And it's funny how that can shift. Like, depending on how the metagame is, that's how Kinnan has the ability to be. Like, right now, I feel like Kinnan wants to be much more active in the early stages by getting a draw engine in early and then using all the extra mana that it has to overtake the other draw engine decks. Because if everyone's got a Rhystic Study and Kinnan's got 17 mana to the rest of the table's 4 or 5 apiece, Kinnan's going to come out on top. They have more mana. They're drawing the same amount of cards, but they're not going to get funneled on stuff to cast.
I would argue they get to draw more cards because with the mana that they have, they also get to play bigger pieces that draw cards like Consecrated Sphinx and Nezahal in particular. Like, these are just fucking things they can cast and
Super
not feel
Rhystic
like anything.
Studies. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And they'll draw enough cards where they'll feel okay tapping out because Nezahal protects itself, and Consecrated Sphinx will find you an answer for whatever's going on.
Yeah, and I like that. I don't know if the list that you're pulling up has this, but like Misdirection is a card that I see in some of these like super heavy draw engine type decks.
Not only that, but
it.
Commandeer has been showing up a lot more too, and this list in particular is playing both, and I like them especially in the low color blue decks. Like I'm not on Commandeer in VV. I feel like I should be, but I am on Misdirection in VV, and I kind of like this direction where if you know that your commander's a lightning rod, you gotta have something else.
You must.
So that you can just for free move it around wherever you need the removal to go.
And I think it's very helpful if your like game plan is Rhystic Study. If like your goal is to get a Mystic Aurora or some type of draw engine in play on turn 1 or turn 2, you need the free interaction, because a lot of times the engine is going to make the turbo player, the Etali player, say, all right, I got to jam now while you're tapped out. I have to go for it and hope you don't have Force of Will, because if you untap and have mana with the Rhystic Study, that's much more difficult for Etali, isn't it?
So we'll see copy Enchantment and Mirror Maid and copy Artifact in a lot of the lists that we're talking about then too, because these are just like tournament cEDH mainstays.
It's kind of like, I don't want to say parasitic because it's not really, but if Rhystic Study is the best thing to do, making more and taking Rhystic Studies is
We literally
good,
did
right?
this with Dockside Extortionist. Like that's
same
why people
thing.
started playing like Clever Impersonator more, and now you still play Clever Impersonator.
Just copy the Rhystic Study.
It's still the best thing whatever the best thing to copy is, But yeah, so I mean, we've seen so much Kinnan on the channel, and it's still super good. I don't think there's ever going to be a point where Kinnan is not good, because it's so flexible, and even if like you can punish creatures to the maximum potential, like you're still gonna have to deal with Kinnan players.
Better than Garb, better than Kefka.
We got to go way up.
Way up, yeah.
Yeah, like we got to go like Rogsai around there. Like it's better than Rogsai, right?
I hate to admit this, but it's better than Rockside.
And it's better than Sisay in reality, too.
No!
Yeah, it's way better than Sisay.
Better than Sisay, you
so
sure?
many good cards you get to play. You don't have
I can
to
play
like
Kinnan in Sisay, though.
that makes Kinnan even better, because like
But
you
Kinnan can't play Sisay in Kinnan. I can play Kinnan in Sisay.
You can play Kinnan in Rog Thras and in Rog Yoshi too.
Yeah,
Like
and
there's
it's
so
so
many,
good in
or
all of those
Yoshi
decks.
Thras. Yeah, it's so good in so many different places, even outside of the command zone. That like I think Kinnan just does too much. It's way easier to build around. It's intricate, but you can just like pick it up and have it still be a good deck.
All right, so what else do we have on the list? It's better than Sisay. I hate to admit
versus
it.
Rog Thras.
Rog Thras. Oh. So
These are like my two nightmare decks to go
right,
up
dude.
against.
I feel like this is kind of interesting because Rog Thras is doing what Kinnan does. I don't want to say better, but like more, faster.
Better
you know
in
what I
the
mean?
meta now, because now that Kinnan's shying away from so many big things, like it doesn't matter that Rog Thras can't play so many big things, I guess.
Which is better?
Kinnan, as it stands, has been around longer.
That's true, yeah.
And can survive in metagames. Like Rog Thras has always been something that we could do, and we
haven't until recently. Rog Thras is thriving because of how the metagame is shaping right now. Kinnan thrives through all.
And when we did do something with it, we were like, oh, why don't we Divergent Transformation?
Why don't we Divergent? Yeah, why don't we play no creatures? That's a good idea.
That's optimal. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. Kinnan's the best deck out of all the decks we've talked about so far. That's probably true.
There we go. All right, that's going to the top. Bop, 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 bop to the top. I would like to talk about one more play-to-win deck before we get into some boring decks.
Okay. That sounds good.
Let's talk about Etali.
Etali!
I still can't believe Etali is in this list.
It's like
of
a deck.
Some of
It's
the
like doing well.
most played decks that people are playing in tournaments right now. Yeah. I mean, it is not winning anything right now, but it has been winning prior to this past month. It does get some wins in like tops.
And it's converting. Like, it's still making top 16 and top 4s and stuff like that.
That's the thing. Yeah, there's a couple of smaller events, even like over this past weekend, that it did top. I mean, we've talked, again, a lot about Etali. Even on the podcast more recently, we've seen it on the show. And this is just like a lot of the same stuff that we've been seeing in these lists. I think there has been a little bit more of a push to just make sure that you can deal with Vexing Bauble, because there's a lot more lists that are playing Vexing Bauble. So like I put Nature's Claim in my deck, but that might be wrong. I might want to switch it up to this Natural State I've been seeing, which is 1 mana that destroys an artifact or enchantment with CMC 3 or less.
For what color of mana?
For 1 green.
For 1
so
green.
It's the same cost as Nature's Claim, but it doesn't gain life.
Sorcery?
It's an instant still.
Instant still.
Yeah.
That's
but
good.
But like maybe there's like a 4 mana thing that I want to hit with Nature's Claim, and I don't care about the 4 life
There's
anymore,
nothing 4
right?
Mana, right?
Why
haven't we been playing this card? Is Birthing Pod the only reason, and we just forgot that Birthing Pod doesn't see play? That can't be it.
Let me think.
What other 4-mana artifact would you want to destroy?
Smothering Tithe, potentially.
Oh, enchantment too.
It's enchantment. It's artifact or enchantment.
Too. Okay, so Smothering Tithe. Yeah, Smothering Tithe. That's it? This is what this card does. For singular green mana, instant, destroy any artifact or enchantment
with mana value 3 or less. Yeah.
Let me see this card. You have it in front of you?
Yeah, natural state.
Holy shit. This is so good. Yeah, what would you want to do?
So Nature's Claim should just be this?
Well, I guess
they're on Nature's Claim too.
I guess the reason you wouldn't play this is because Nature's Claim, like the 4-life is so irrelevant that Nature's Claim is strictly better.
That was my reasoning because I only wanted one of these.
Yeah.
And I put Nature's Claim in because in Etali, I don't care that the ad nauseum deck is going to gain life. I just don't want them to have the thing that's going to stop me.
Okay, so I guess theoretically there is a world where you have a wheel in hand and you want to get rid of the Smothering Tithe.
But I think it makes sense to play both.
Maybe,
I don't think it makes no sense to play both, especially since Force of Vigor in particular does not stop the Vexing Bauble, which I'm particularly concerned about. I'm less concerned about Dranith Magistrate right now, since it's just
isn't
not
that
seeing so much play. Yeah,
that Dranith Magistrate is seeing a lot less play, and Vexing Bauble kind of takes his place because Vexing Bauble can be used to protect you. It can stop your opponent's Force of Wills.
And what I've also noticed in particular with Etali is that it's worse in pickup pods, and it is actually better in tournaments.
What Vexing Bauble is? Or?
No, Etali in general
is better in tournament decks.
It's better in tournaments right now because people are only playing good cards in tournaments, and you have a smaller chance of running into people's Magdas and people's at a locals.
Magda's a good deck though, but
at locals the one night I was in a pod with 2 Magdas and a Lumra. What am I gonna do as an Etali deck, right?
There,
But in a tournament, I have a really good shot of there being one Rog Thras, a blue farm, and some other Thrasios deck or a Marnius or something, right?
Yeah, and I think Etali attacks the metagame in kind of this interesting way. Is it forces your opponents to have to do something on turn 2, which is a lot of the times when they have just tapped out for either mana or cards. So you put them in a situation where they sort of must have Force of Will, and if they don't, even if you draw them 4 cards, you're casting 4 spells for every 4 cards that you give them. So you give them 4 cards, and they might not be able to use any of them right now. And if you're winning the game right now, it doesn't matter if you give them 10 cards. You know what I mean? It makes no difference. They just have to hit something that does something, but they only have so many shots to do it, whereas every time you hit, you are doing something. You know what I mean?
Getting the 4 spells every time.
Yeah, so even if they hit the counter spell, there's 3 other spells sometimes. Sometimes the other one does something too.
Exactly, yeah. So I think it is kind of the anti-meta deck right now, which is I think why it's doing so well is that it's able to go so fast and get around mid-range hell in such a specific way that if decks aren't prepared for it, if they don't draw the free Mind Break Trap or the Force of Will to be able to stop what I'm doing, there's nothing that you can do against Etali. It is going to run you over then. Yeah.
It's very similar to Roxai. I feel like what the main difference is Roxai has access to blue, so there are some counter spells.
A little bit more protection for what you're doing.
Yeah, and it gives you, Roxai has that moment where you have to counter the Necropotence right now, or it doesn't matter, whereas Etali gives you a couple more shots. There is a chance where they will draw you Heuristic Study, but Etali is much more explosive. It's all right there, and you can so much more consistently go on turn 1 or turn 2. I firmly believe that Etali does the fast thing more consistently than Roxai. Roxai has the backup on turn 2 or 3, but Etali gets Etali out on turn 1 or 2 more often. I
don't have to run tutors in my deck. All of the tutors that you run, I replaced with mana instead.
Only mana. You just have to count to 7, whereas Roxai has to get a certain combination. Obviously, pros and cons, counter spells versus a little bit more speed and raw power. But
does that mean that I think that Etali's better than Roxai?
No, but it's close.
But it's kind of in that same scenario right now where they're both attacking the meta in the same way where they're the anti-meta deck. But I think that Roxai gives you more opportunities to win the game at different points.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it a little bit better. You have Born Upon the Wind lines. You have a better late game ability because of your draw engines that you have access to.
Yeah, weirdly, Roxai is known for not having a good late game, but Roxai still plays Heuristic Study and Mystic Aurora, which is a great late game that Etali doesn't have, right?
Tell you how many times you've won on mulls to 3 in Roxai where everyone just thinks that you're out of the game, but you get a Heuristic or a Mystic down and you just clean up that game at the right moment then because you get so many cards, people just don't care, they just start feeding you a bunch.
Yeah, I feel like Roxai has the ability to go fast but doesn't necessarily need to, whereas maybe Etali needs to go fast a little bit more. Would you say that's true?
You can build Etali to be slower, but I think that we're, as an Etali community, figuring out that the faster decks are better.
Yeah.
I want to shout out Cam Daddy D in particular, because I know he's been doing super well, and I know his list inspired me to speed my deck list up a little bit too.
Cool,
so
okay.
like I think that's really the direction that we want to be going, is a little bit more speed. I'm not on Panharmonicon anymore. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do to make a more resilient Etali deck last in mid-range hell, but you can just anti-meta them and just get around
Just go
mid-range hell.
faster,
I
yeah.
think that's a better way to do it
Better,
too.
rather than answer their answers, just have threats before they can answer them.
The deck's a lottery already. Lean into it being a gamble instead of trying to fix what makes it not a gamble. That's a discussion that they were having on the Etali Discord the other day. It's like,
just admit that it's a gamble.
yeah, it's going to be a gamble. Yeah, like, sure, you can try to interact with my early Etali, but it might just cast me 4 spells. It might be a really cool Eureka effect that I get.
Right, like if you're going to do the slot machines and there's a deal, if you spin it 10 times, you get the second one free or something, do the 10. Don't do 9 because 9 is less and you want to save money. You get the deal if you do 10.
Exactly, yeah. Do
that
the
works,
whole
right?
thing.
That
yeah.
works. That makes sense.
I think so too, yes.
Compared to where are we? It's about where Rogsai is. What's up to top and below Rogsai?
Which means that it's worse than Sisay.
Worse than sorry, but I think it is. Sorry.
I kind of think it is too. I think Sisay is a lot more resilient and is way less interactable. That's the other thing. Like, Etali is very interactable.
Just counter Etali.
Counter Etali, bounce Etali, like wait until you interact with the food chain when they think that they can do nothing else. Maybe that'll bite you in the butt, but I think a lot of times you can let the first Etali spin go. It's okay.
All right, that's what an Etali player says. I don't think that that's true. I think you should treat it like a Kark situation where, like, with the trigger on the stack, you want to get rid of the Kark, or like oftentimes when Kark is casting spells with their Kark triggers on the stack, you want to counter the spell then so they don't have the option to bounce it back to their hand. I personally think with Etali, it's often best to counter the Etali the first time, because especially if you have to ritual into Etali,
I guess it depends
now
on how
9
I get
mana
Etali
is a
out.
ton of
Yeah.
mana if you mana vaulted in it, so it's really hard to get the second one out. And if you let the Etali stay in play and try to counter what comes next, sometimes they have the copiers, the cloners, the hasty makers. What are they called?
The twin flames.
The
and
twin
stuff.
flame effects.
It's
and
hard
then,
to say counter Etali when there's normally one or only 2 things that counter Etali, being like Force of Will and
right.
Mindbreak Trap.
Yeah, that's very true. A lot of counter spells are negates or
So
the
play
counter
silence
non-creatures.
too.
Yeah.
You should say that too. We should say
silence.
that too. Play
Interact with
silence.
Etali on the stack, I guess, is the most important.
Don't play
I think.
Dranith Magistrate, because that will make your deck worse. But do play the cards that are like, I'm not even just saying that as an Etali player.
I think you're right. Yeah, play Vexing Bobble instead.
Play Vexing Bobble. Play things that will make your deck better. Don't just target the Etali because you're afraid of Etali because, it will Meta Buster or something. Yeah.
Right, no, yeah. The goal is to win the game, not to beat the Etali player.
Exactly, yeah.
So where are we ranking it? It's worse
versus
than Sisay.
Magda. How do we have it versus Magda?
I like Etali.
I took Magda apart and I kept Etali
There we
together.
go. Etali's better than Magda. And that's definitive.
And that's definitive, yeah.
How many more decks do we have to talk about?
We have 2 more decks to talk about.
2 more decks. That's perfect.
All right, so I don't even know how much more time we need to spend on the other 2, because these last 2 decks are like the Tymna decks of the format that I've saved for last, because everyone knows these decks, but you should really just be always expecting these decks to come up against
They're
you
the most
in
popular
tournaments.
decks in CEDH.
And the first one we're going to talk about is Thrasios Tymna.
This one got a big resurgence when Dockside got banned. I don't know that it has dominated in the way that a lot of people were expecting it to, but it's been a solid role player. It has definitely come back into the spotlight of one of the best decks in the format. I think it's not flashy, doesn't do anything crazy. It just plays good spells at a good rate. It has Seedborn Muse normally. It does Thrasios stuff. It draws cards with Tymna. It is like I think like it's a standard CDH deck.
Well, those are 2 different formats, so now I'm confused.
Oh, fuck. You're right. I'm sorry. That's so confusing.
No,
I do
but
want to say... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, but no, you say what you're going to say.
I do want to say the Squirrel, Hazel's Brewmaster, was a great include to the deck that really helped bring it back, I think, a little bit too. Like Swift reconfiguration on the Devoted Druid and all the Devoted Druid combos you do, I think, also really helped the deck gain a lot more strength.
It makes Survival of the Fittest a 1-card win con, because you can use the Survival of the Fittest to tutor up your Devoted Druid, which then you can discard to Survival to go get the Brewmaster, which then, hey, look at that. It's already in the graveyard for your Brewmaster.
Right, yeah. So it's a good deck that has gotten new toys, which is what's necessary for CDH to continue being good. You have to continue getting stuff to put into your deck. Like, otherwise you're going to get power crept out because other decks are going to get good stuff.
But I'm noticing that it is not getting a lot of new toys. Like, it got that. It got the ability to Hazel's Brewmaster with Bloomburrow. So that means it also got, like, Valley Floodcaller around that same time. And then since then, it got Gifts Ungiven when Gifts got unbanned. But it hasn't really added anything since, like, it was our main deck that we were both playing in tournaments and stuff like that. Like, the list list is still very solid. I will say that there are some other lists. Some of these lists I'm looking at are not on this, but there are other lists that have fallen into the Ouroboros Breeze Caller lines too. It's just proven to be super good in a lot of other decks. What I think is the problem with that in this deck is that this one's just way slower than the other decks that are trying to Ouroboros. Like,
yeah, 4 colors is hard with that strategy.
And at least when Kinnan does it, they are going so over the top that it's a little bit easier for them to kind of get that mana to be able to make that work out. Whereas this deck, like, you need a lot of pips to get the creatures out and play that you want. You don't get like the Chatterstorm options or anything like that. You're just kind of relying on good creatures and waiting until the very late game for that to work. But you also get like a Meal Derevi combo with Cradle if that's something you want to do. But I always preferred just going Devoted Druid combos, playing Thoracle, and then maybe like Kinnan Basalt as my backup infinite mana win.
Yeah, you do have access to a lot of really efficient win cons, and I think that's part of the strength is the deck can go a couple of different directions. I kind of agree with you that I like sticking away from the mana stuff. I think if you're going to do that mana stuff, you need to stay in a little bit less colors, and the Yoshimaru Thrasios and the Rock Thrasios is your bet. But Tymna is broken. It's going to be fine. You're going to win games with that Ouroboros Breeze Caller, Gaia's Cradle, Talon, Gates of Madara line in this deck. That's still going to work. It's still going to be good.
Yeah, you're in the best colors in the format right now, so this deck can't be bad. You have
yeah.
Say it.
Nothing.
Oh,
I was gonna wrap up. I thought you were. Sorry.
No, wrap it up. I'm hot.
I mean, dude, I'm sweating. Can you see? Can you zoom in and see the beads of sweat? I think this deck is worse than Kinnan. And if I'm gonna be frank,
you were confusing me talking about all these different formats, and now you're a whole other person.
I was waiting for
it.
Yeah, I was waiting. I think that cEDH is better than Tymna Thrasios.
I'm not gonna lie. I think it is, and the reason why it doesn't see as much play is because cEDH is just harder to play, whereas this deck is like, we've loved Thrasios Tymna because
it's forgiving.
You can fuck it up and you can still win. You go, oh shit, well, I have so much mana, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a ton of ways I can win at instant speed. I don't need to push. Like, I've been in scenarios where I have 55 Smothering Tithe treasures I've born upon the wind. And
it's a great instant speed deck.
It really is so good at all that kind of stuff. You're playing the best card advantage commanders in the format too. So, I mean, as much as I love the deck, I love the commanders, and I love what it can do, it is hindered on needing 2-card combos and being so clunky at trying to find these 2 to 3 card combos all the time.
Yeah, so we have Kinnan, we have Kinnan
and then Rog Thras.
And then cEDH, and then Tymna Thras.
Because it's better than Rogsai, right?
I don't know. It's close, I think. I like Rogsai more, obviously, but I think it's better than Rogsai. Yeah, I think it's better than Rogsai.
I think it's better than Rogsai, too.
Yeah, I think it's better than... I don't know. I would rather play Rogsai, me personally, but I think Tymna Thrasios wins more, plays better spells overall, just like a better card-for-card deck, I think.
Tymna Thrasios definitely has a better long game, so I think a lot of metas, in a tournament scene specifically, I think I'd rather take that in, but I think that's also because I'm way more comfortable playing that deck than Rogsai.
Yeah.
I suck at Rogsai.
Should we talk about the next?
We'll put it there.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about the last deck. Tymna Kraum.
Tymna Kraum. Yeah. This is the deck of the format. This is a deck that we don't have on the channel a ton. That's not really for like a specific reason. Honestly, it's not like we're purposefully shunning the best deck. I just think that none of us ever like want to put the deck together, and none of our patrons ever recommend us to put the deck together.
I mean, I've been thinking about it, but I've been talking to one of our guys at Locals who plays it a lot and is really good with the deck, and he's not on Delny, and a lot of the lists aren't on Delny, and now I'm like, I wanted to play Delny.
Right, yeah, that was the thing.
That was like the whole reason why I wanted to put this together, but like the deck is like, what are you gonna say? Oh, Toxic Deluge is in here.
Yeah,
This is another list that just won since we recorded. It had already had 2 tournament wins in the past month, and it's just added a 3rd now.
Nice. Okay, yeah, Toxic Deluge is great. Nate also has recently started putting this deck together and playing it a little bit. He's won a little bit on the channel too. It's good. It's solid. It's consistent. Toxic Deluge is a crazy good include, I think, especially because you can Underworld Breach it later if you need to like Toxic Deluge a second time and then get ready to go for a win. It just does everything. It does all the Grixis stuff, but with the white silence effects, right?
I think it's a better Tymna deck than Thrasios Tymna.
And it's honestly weirdly a better Grixis deck than Rogsai, probably.
It kind of is, right? You get way more engines. Like, we were saying last week, it can still kind of like play a control game.
Yeah.
It can also go really fast if it needs
to.
Like, quick. It plays so many roles.
On average, it's going to be a notch or 2 slower than Rogsai, but has the ability to go for quick turn 2, turn 3 wins. Probably turn 3 more often than turn 2.
Yeah,
it's not really meant to do that, but like it can. Right?
And it only got a huge push with Gifts Ungiven.
Yeah, I think it probably was really like the best home for Gifts Ungiven, and I don't even think I've seen Gifts in all of the lists that have been winning tournaments with Tymna Kraum. You don't have to play it. I'm glad that it is seeing play because I think it's really good, but you don't need to. That's like the power of this deck is you don't even need to play Gifts Ungiven.
I want to point out one other card that's in this list. It's Curse Totem.
Ooh.
This is a weird
This
like
card sucks.
stacks piece that you do get
This
to
card
play.
sucks. No.
I don't think it's good either.
My deck is Sisei. Don't play this card.
Yeah, there's dyssynergy here too. You can't Professional Facebreaker or Ranger Captain of Eos with it in play, which I think the Ranger Captain's huge.
The Ranger Captain is relevant, sure.
But I mean, at the same time,
If you're losing to Kinnan and Sisei a lot, Curse Totem's great.
I haven't won a cEDH tournament ever, and this person did.
Right,
So
yeah. I personally have found that Curse Totem is not the lights out against Sisei realistically. It does like say that it's really good, but Sisei can kind of just wait and stay alive. It actually weirdly is playing a decent amount of interaction. So if Sisei can like stay alive and just get rid of Curse Totem later and be ready to win on the spot, it's fine. I do think it's pretty good against Kinnan because the mana thing is like really like a big part of the strategy, but the mana is part strategy of Sisei too. So like it's not lights out against any of these decks, but it certainly is powerful against Sisei and Kinnan and all the Gaia's Cradle decks. Like it's still good against Thrasios, of course.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I had something again that I wanted to say, but I just
Were you going to say that this is the best deck in the format? Because
it is
It's the
definitely
number
the
one.
best deck in the format.
Right. It's better than Kinnan. It's better than Rog Thras. It's better than Sisei.
It has the most amount of wins out of all the decks that we've been talking about in the time frame that we're looking at here. So
Truthfully, and I think like Intuition is the real like get for this deck. That's the main thing I personally think that it has over Rogsai is that Intuition is a 1-card win condition with Savine's Reclamation, and Grixis Rogsai doesn't have like an easy way to really do something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the biggest standout. Not all the decks are even playing ad nauseum anymore, right? That's not even a thing.
no, not all of them are.
But you can.
I think a lot of a lot of them still are. It's still a good backup strategy since it is a 1-card win condition on its own still.
But you also have this Savine's Reclamation. You all just have like Underworld Breach, Mnemonic Betrayal, Praetor's Grasp, Thoracle Consult. You have so many good ways to win the game as well as just the best cards in the format. And I think over and over we're finding that like your commander truly doesn't really matter as much as just like playing as many good cards as possible. Oftentimes that's like the best way to win. I say that as a Sisei pilot, I know, but a lot of the times that's like the best way to win a lot of games.
The reason why I think that it's better to have good cards in your deck than be synergistic is because Blue Farm is consistently the best deck in the format.
That's from an Etali player.
Exactly. Yeah, right? Like, I'm playing very synergistic decks right now.
I think the synergistic decks are easier to win with for me personally, but the records show that
The
better
record
cards
doesn't show that.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
better cards win more games more often than not.
I'm sorry, I'm so warm, I can't think.
Dude,
so
I'm
can
hot.
we just
Can
can
we
we just
can
go
it?
over the list?
That's what's the top 12 commanders? I got one honorable mention, Malcolm, Blue Malcolm, partner with a couple whatever. I think that commander and deck is good. That's it. That's the honorable mention.
Great. So the worst deck that we've talked about then is Glarb,
Yep.
followed by Kefka, which makes me not want to build Kefka so much right now.
Okay.
Yoshimaru Thrasios is next, followed by Vivi, followed by Magda, followed by Etali, and then Rograk Silas. And then our top 5 begins with Thrasios Tymna. Number 4 is Sisei. Number 3 is Rograk Thrasios. Number 2 is Kinnan. And then number 1 is Tymna Crown.
I stand by this list.
I think this is like an insanely solid list.
Definitive.
A little definitive. I bet Magda players would fight me on the Etali versus Magda placement.
I love the phrase "a little definitive." That's fun.
A little definitive, yeah. It's not totally definitive.
There are a bunch of other decks in cEDH that can win games and tournaments and
These
do
are just
well.
the ones that you are going to see in
most.
tournaments the most.
Right, yeah,
And
exactly.
this is what we think of their rankings. So if you want to build a cEDH deck, I would recommend one of these 12 to start.
Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support us directly, you can do so on Patreon, like our $100 patrons.
Dam Nandez, Cumulative Upkeep MTG, Mr. Jerby, The Cardboard Cookbook, Penguin Man 0089, Eli the Magic Guy, David Newman, Pat Fire, Spangler, Demetrius Clark, Larceny Royce, Your Boy Blue, Sparky B, Insomnia, SC Phillip, Olden Groupie, Zach Hartley, Reactive, Sean of the Ice, Gabriel Garrett, Mace the Ace, Luke Cook, Connor Sipon, Joshua Day, Peter Stewart, Cornell Wild, Uncle Butts, Kwaja A. Hamid, Scott Hawk, and Baby G Bus.
If you want to pick up any of our merch, you can do that at playtowinmtg.com.
Thank you, Dragon Shield, for supporting the show. Use code PlayToWin5 at our affiliate link down below for 5% off.
Follow us on the internet for more content.
Thank you so much for watching.
See you next time.
Z-Trep, Hunter the Warlock, John Koba, The Gaming Kikajou, Dan the Man Sarcastic, Bill Bob, Mystic Muffin Man, Zachary Coulson, Jabaha, Dalton Poti, Justin Man Solo, Jan Wildfang, Thomas Bueno, and David Nelson.